Honorable Ssemuju Nganda mbaka wa Kira Municipality avuddeyo n'ayogera amazima agalaali agakaawa nti gavumenti ya Museveni yo ebiriwo ebirabika mu ggwanga olwaleero ekulagira ddala nti ensense buse yenje buse era ebulako just kusindika kati n'ennyonge gwali ennume y'ekigo. Agamba nti Kyagulanyi Ssentamu Robert Bobi Wine n'abannabyabufuzi abalala abali ku ludda oluwabuzi lwa gavumenti ya Museveni bayina kaakati okwongezaamu jjiya ennene okulanga Mwai Museveni bamujja ku ntebe eyo mwatudde. Nti kati ate Kyagulanyi alina enkizo y'amaanyi, enkizo ey'enjawulo era ng'olugendo lwatambudde lwoleka kaate nti nate ye wanjawulo ku balala abazze babeerawo era nga kyeyoleka kyongera okwanika nti nno Bobi Wine Kyagulanyi Ssentamu amaze ddala era abulako just ka inch katono nnyo okutuula mu ntebe eyo Mwai Museveni mwatudde. Agamba nti omulimu Kyagulanyi gwali mu kukola gwegamba gw'amaanyi gwa njawulo okuba nti yekka omwabu abaali bavuganyizza Mwai Museveni yaakawa omusango mu kkooti y'ensi yonna ne guba recognized era ne gukkirizibwa nti ddala Mwai Museveni alina emisango gy'okuddamu alina okubitebya nti ogwo kuba kuwangula oba buwa buwanguzi bwa kika kya waggulu ate nti mu process emu okumanya Kyagulanyi alina omukisa ogw'enjawulo Katonda gwe yamuteekako ate nga buno obubonero obugenda ddala nga bweyoleka nti one day one time very soon Kyagulanyi Ssentamu Robert Bobi Wine agenda kukulembera eggwanga Uganda nti kkooti y'ensi yonna ICC kkooti y'ensi yonna eba yakalangirira nti Mwai Museveni alina omusango gw'okutebya ogw'okuddamu ne mutabani we ne balala mu gavumenti ye ate laba ne World Bank neevaayo negamba esazizzaamu okwa Mwai Museveni ensimbi nti nno erikkonde libadde ne eno ICC ekuba panchi ate ne kkooti y'ensi yonna n'ekuwa bulo knockout kiba kitegeeza nti ogenye kakati ogenda gwennume y'ekigo. N'olwekyo Kyagulanyi kino kyatandise leero kyongera okulaga nti ali ready, ali steady, more than steady, ali focused okulanga gavumenti ya Mwai Museveni egwennume y'ekigo. Nti azze ebintu abikola mu labadaba style mu ngeri ya kimpowooze n'ate nga biri effective. Mwai Museveni abiwuliramu nga ali mu kubona mu kawompo n'agamba wali ekyana kinkubye bulo n'ate nga talina kyakkola ne yeegumyagumya n'ate nga kimutwala ekye Bobi Wine kye bayita ekiyaga kimutwala nga kaguddeyo. N'olwekyo ensonga nnyingi ze tuli mu kwogerako n'omubaka Ssemuju Nganda n'abannabyabufuzi abalala ku biki ebigenda maaso mu ggwanga naddala ebisingira ddala bye basimbyeko essira ebya ennamba z'emmotoka number plate eziri digitalized mbu byabatereeza bya security baagala kulaba abakozi ba bikolobero n'ate nga tunajjukira nti waliwo ne kamera zaagula obuwumbi n'obuwumbi bw'essente bwaweebwayo no kampuni ya Hawaii ne baleeta zi kamera embi era kamera baateeka ne mu maka ga Kyagulanyi weera eyimiridde obwetibwe papa ne bawulira kamera zonna ze baali era bawulira bakyali inferior bawulira tebeefiiringa nti no ddala omulimu oguzikola ogwazireesa baagala bateeke ne number plate ezidigitalized zisobole okugenda nga zigetta ne mu maka gammwe mu ofiisi zammwe bye mwogera bye mutambula mukola babire nga babitegeera bulungi okumanya batuuse ku mbeera ey'obuteesiga buli kimu era kivula ne Mwai Museveni nti kati atambulira mu bulletproof glass olw'okwewala byalowooza kati omutima alina emitima ebiri ogumu gumugamba bagenda kukuba omulala gumugamba okyali steady kati alina emitima ebiri yonna tegikkiriziganya na gunne waagwo kyova olaba kati obutiitiizi bungi n'okweraliikirira kungi n'eddiiru eziriwo ezitalina mugaso nnyingi byonna nga birimu ku malya ga nsimbi naye ate nga World Bank basazeeko ensimbi tewakyali kale muneegatteko mu bwombefu bw'ekika ekyawaggulu tufune omubaka Ssemuju Nganda ne banne abalala abakulembeze baali nabo nga tutemaatema oba nga atemaatema ensonga eziri mu ggwanga era biki ebirina okukolebwa okutereeza eggwanga lyaffe ate tufune Uganda empya ffenna mwe tunaba nga tuli kyenkanye ate ng'ebikolebwa bimala kuplaningibwa bulungi nga bijja kuganyulwamu nze naawe n'oli ffenna tubiganyulwemu nga bannansi so si byakuyisaawo ddiiro abamu bazimba amayumba manene agenkana emizikiti amayumba manene agenkana ekeresiya amazima manene agenkana church agenkana amasomero ziwooteri n'ate ng'alimu n'obwana busatu bwokka n'ogamba nti what was the purpose. Kale katulabe awo omwaka Ssemuju Nganda ng'ayogera ku nsonga ezo enkulu eziri mu ggwanga lyaffe.
Dr. Agnes Atim, when you have Ssemuju, the way he quickly starts NRM.
We need to look at this number plate issues in the context of, like he has actually attributed to, in the context of what it is meant for, and like he has said, definitely we hope that it will address the security issue. It will also address the tax issue, the revenue mobilization, local mobilization that we talk about, because some of these cars actually evade number, they're used to evade number plates. So in that context, I think we need to appreciate that it's quite a useful government program. But also, looking at his analogy of the two ministers, we need to appreciate that these ministers are coming in that context of mandates. Both of these ministries have their mandates. The Ministry of Internal Affairs has a mandate, the mandate of ensuring internal, peace, security, and all that. But also, Ministry of Security has its own mandate of ensuring security. And so the contract issues, we need to also acknowledge that as a country, and I think Honorable Ssemuju is one of those honorable members who have been around in Parliament, that Parliament enacted the PPDA law. And so every ministry, I think we should move away from discussing Otafiwe, Jimwezi as individuals. We need to look at them as a government agency, government ministries who follow procedures of awarding contracts. And we have a PPDA law. It's like when we, like members of Parliament, we talk about things happening wrong in the contract.
How can we discuss Moez, who was in jail over corruption?
I know, but those are
by Parliament.
I think those are some of the things that any of us can be in those issues, right?
No.
But we should be mindful that there is a PPDA law. And we've, as Parliament, we enacted the law ourselves. What we should be talking about is what the procedures of awarding contracts really followed, other than looking at those individual issues. But also the other issue is the due diligence. I remember, I think when I just joined Parliament, there were issues of due diligence that were brought up, that I'm very sure as a ministry, leave alone the ministers who are talking, the ministries have the technical people, and they are bound by the laws. And the issue of due diligence came up. I'm very sure that now that we are hearing it's going to be implemented, I'm very sure that all these procedures of due diligence were actually followed. Of course, notwithstanding the issues of corruption, but I wouldn't want such a very important discussion to be really derailed into personalities and
when the personalities are icons and generals, it is inevitable.
I know,
but,
corruption icons.
But I'm really shocked by the two are in the newspapers the whole of this week quarreling. Now you are saying you don't bring the personality.
From them. No, I think
both of them are in the newspapers, every day quarreling over the same project. But you are saying don't bring.
But for me, I'm bringing the context of procedures. We needed to understand as they quarrel were procedures.
I think you make a good point. So let's start there. So, in your opinion, we're going to look for an opinion from you as well. You have General Tafiri saying he did not know about it until the local producer wrote to him saying a contract is being taken away from him. So he has a point.
For me, I think, and it is a general problem. I worked in government before I joined Parliament, that we have a challenge of coordination between agencies, ministries. You'll be shocked that even the same ministries who sit together, when the other one is doing something, the other is not doing. So that is a general problem across government. Which Ministry of Finance tried to bring in the issues of program-based budgeting so that all the ministries doing a similar thing actually come together. Unfortunately, the uptake or adoption of that program-based budgeting is still wanting, and is one of the recommendations we made in budget committee, that for ministries to coordinate, we need to adhere to the program-based planning and budgeting. If Ministry of Internal Affairs and Security were sitting together in that program-based approach, which I'm sure this number plate issue, if it is a security issue, Internal Affairs is there, Defense is there, the one of security is there, all of them would have been knowing what is going on, and they should have been talking in one language. Okay. So for me, I think, Oscar, this is a coordination issue.
That is one. There's a coordination issue.
It is a coordination
issue.
What
about what about the claims? If General Tafe says the company does not exist. Says the company is Polish, but it might be Russian, and talks about the consequences of dealing with the Russian company. It
goes back to the due diligence issue. That if the due diligence were done and communicated, we wouldn't be hearing that. Of course, Utafere could be having issues. Those are geopolitical issues that I think they needed, in my opinion, they needed to have sat down together. Those are their geopolitical issues. If Russia is not good enough to work with the government of Uganda on security issues, and all, that should have been discussed at another level. But if it brings it up, then I'm sure government and other, remember, our security issues is not only dependent on internal affairs and Ministry of Security. We have a Ministry of Defense, we have a presidency who should pick up, who should be interested to pick up some of those geopolitical issues that are being raised. That's really
if he doesn't.
No, okay.
In my view, I think by now some of those other agencies beyond those two ministries should have picked up the issue. And if this due diligence is not, I'm very sure it's going to come to either COSASE or come to even the committees of security or defense or something like that. Because I am very sure not any accounting officer wouldn't allow any procurement to be, any contract to be awarded without due diligence, because they know there are very many accountability structures in this country that can hold them accountable, even
and
before.
If they get away with it.
We're coming to you now.
The getting away is another issue.
They're always getting away with it.
And then I think getting away with it is another issue that maybe we shall come back and discuss. But for me, I'm very sure that the technical people should have followed the due diligence, the PPDA law, and they could have really known what is happening.
Now for you on microphone, as we welcome Ivan, he came in a little while ago. Most welcome to Ghana. Impressed by how I managed to extract you from bed and still found a yellowish shirt to put on.
Honorable Ssemuju, he said we need to go for DNA to see how yellow we are.
So, Nafi.
And it's about to be yellow, by the way. Blue is not very far away from yellow.
The only time I put on yellow was in Maxon Bay. I left it overwalk to work.
I hope you had the small comment that blue is not far away from
It's
yellow.
not far away from yellow.
Maybe in Butarika, they also have
I
yellow.
am telling you.
So,
It's a small world.
In Luzira,
Before you know.
so let's come back.
Did you think that our Muriat would be doing whatever they're doing? If the blue is not far away from yellow, so you better know that these things can happen.
Time will tell. So, Nafi, Agnes here has been very, very clever in the manner in which she has answered questions. He refused to answer a question, went on to the process, described how you can get back to process, refused to talk about the generals. But
she's an RM through and through.
But
That's how NRM guys. Let's try to be objective.
No, you know, there is being objective and then there is trying to defend indefensibles. And it leaves you in an awkward position where you end up.
But the whole thing
about defending
saying nothing.
Nafi,
Because
here,
if
let
I
me
ask
put
someone
to you.
quote you, Agnes, on what you've just said in the last 10 minutes,
Yeah.
I doubt anyone can pick anything to quote.
Said the process.
Yes.
She has said the process needs to be right.
She has talked about coordination.
Coordination, process.
You know, about
And mandates.
program-based budgeting. You know.
And
why
mandates.
isn't
And
it?
PPDA
Why
law.
isn't it that? Why isn't it that?
But Nafi, let me ask you a
Because that is
question.
the question we should be asking. That in this day and age, why
So,
are we?
Nafi.
Why are we talking about the need for these things to done in a
Nafi,
proper way?
there's an
Why
agreement.
why aren't we talking
Nafi,
about why
there's
it hasn't been
an
done?
agreement
Yes.
that these digital number plates are required and they'd be very, very useful.
That we
But
agree.
the minister
Yes.
who would then be employing them was
Yeah.
surprised, and was surprised by a
Exactly.
manufacturer who wrote to him.
And I think this is
saying,
where the problem lies, and I think this is what we need to address. Oscar, right
The
now
first,
I'm
the
handling
first
two
red herring,
clients.
Nafi, the first red herring was when you first saw General Tafe and Mr. Msinguzi working together to say this deal cannot be right.
No. Msinguzi,
Mutsinguzi has his
his
point.
quarrel was different.
His quarrel is the numbers. That's
the
amount of money. And I think that is Kasita's quarrel as well.
Yeah.
Explain to us and give us a breakdown of the 735,000 that we need for a new number plate. Because I totally agree with Muslims, the URA Commissioner General. It's prohibited. This is a very poor country. Tell us, and I will highlight other issues that I have with the whole number plate thing. Do we need a digitalized number plate? Would it be useful to fight crime? Yes, most definitely. But when you're making these decisions, useful or not is not enough. Useful only is not enough. You have to weigh the pros and cons. Can we afford it? Oscar, you would like to probably go on holiday every month. Would it benefit you and your health? Probably. But you have to weigh it against the finances, your job, your other. So as a country, can we afford to increase the cost of a commodity by 735,000? And who is taking the money? This is a foreign company. Here we have a government that is preaching boo-boo. Buy Uganda, build Uganda. And yet we call in joint stock, company from Russia, with a shady background nonetheless, hand over this huge contract, remove it from a local player, and like most foreign companies, the profits will be repatriated. Who does that benefit? Did we look at local companies and allow them to bid? Was there a proper bidding process? At the moment, I'm handling 2 cases.
No, you're talking
With
about
my clients.
Now she's talking of the process.
Yes. But for me, when I hear someone from NRM complaining about the process, I want them to not complain. Tell us what is failing and how we correct it. For me, that is a better conversation to have than coming and joining us, who are powerless, to also complain about the status quo. So one of the cases is Clembe Mines. In 2013, it was handed over to a shady company. Did they do anything to develop it? No. Was the process proper? That is a question. There's another company, for confidentiality reasons, I'm not going to mention. Same thing. Handed over contract. Now, Uganda stands to lose $12 million, 12 million euros, compensating this company. But was a due process followed? What went wrong? Is there anyone who is going to pay for this? Do we even have the money in our resource basket to be paying off people who get this wrong? So here we are, once again, with the same mistakes. Nobody ever looks back to say, how do we going forward, make better decisions? How do we consult? Because if the Minister of Internal Affairs, who is in charge of police and security, does not know that you're hiring a firm to digitalize number plates, so to improve security, then who knows? And I saw Honorable Jim Muwezi in the newspaper saying that this was discussed in cabinet. But there is discussed, and then there is debated. The conversation they were having this week, General Tafiri and Major General Jim Muwezi, is a conversation that should have been had before the award of the contract. Now we are doing a post-mortem, and we are having these discussions while in ICU, which I think shouldn't be how things are done. It should be the other way around. We should have these conversations before the problem becomes a problem. So I think we need to look into how we are doing things. Just because we need something, just because something is good. I mean, we've seen it work in New Delhi, we've seen it work in California, but even then, in those particular jurisdictions, this whole program was piloted. In California, it was piloted since 2018 and then rolled out in 2022. And during that time, there was a report and there were some improvements and changes that were recommended. They made them and then rolled it out in 2022. But here we are, without even piloting this, we are rolling it out. We don't even know the capacity of the farm. There are rumors that the farm is even a sham. And yet we are willing to hand over this. This is a security. What happens to for example, information breach? Right now, one of the biggest problems we have globally is data mining. This is a Russian farm. What if it hands over the information? And trust me, when you go to get that number plate, you're going to be asked for your national ID.
Of course.
And now they know your date of birth, they know your names, they know where you stay, they know everything about you. And this is a Russian farm. Who is going to this Russian farm? Stop doing postmortems and start doing research, debate before implementation. And then let's learn to pilot projects. Let's learn to pilot policies and all these government projects before they are rolled out on a larger scale. We could just start with the cars coming in. And then Kasita has a point. Can we have a breakdown? Can the joint stock company from Russia give us a breakdown of the 735,000 shillings? Because if Tampeco can produce a number plate at 150,000, if you can replace the number plates that are existing at 150,000, what changes so much that a new one has to be 735,000? We don't want people running off with extorting a whole nation because they can get away with it. And let me tell you typically what happens, and this is why you see someone like Ssemuju is concentrating on the players in the market. Let me tell you what happens. Someone up there eats money and then decides to defend this by their life. And let me tell you, usually they've eaten something like $200,000 and they create a problem for the nation that is like $30 million. This is the absurd thing about them. So I don't want us, especially the ruling elite, to sit here and complain about the process like the rest of us. I want them to address the constant failings of these processes, because it's not one or two or three. No. It's actually a norm with the NRM that every time they pilot something, then it goes wrong. We move on from NADS, then we go to Operation Wealth Creation, then Emioga, then Tandikwa, then Parish Model, and nothing changes. And no one is always held accountable. Look at SGR, was supposed to start that car, the one where they were checking the car checks. What happened to that? We woke up, they had rolled it out, they told us, go to Namabe, go where, and go check your car.
I've seen
Look
that
what happened to that. It wasn't well thought out. So the process was rolled out before the proper research, background debates, and proper procedures were in place. So I don't want us to do this for this. If Parliament can intervene, and then we try and do this the proper way, that is all that we ask. And look at the pricing, because trust me, the biggest problem with that whole situation is the pricing of the number plates.
Ivan, let's come back to you. Welcome once again. But if we go a little bit backwards, so the Ministry of Security initiated this program, and then when the Internal Affairs heard about it, they are attempting to stop the program.
No,
is that a good summary?
No, it's not. First of all, the ministry.
Go to the mic.
Okay. First of all, good morning to the listeners.
Go.
Good morning to the listeners. Oscar, first of all, this number plate issue, the conversation first emerged around 2018 at the height of the urban insecurity that had pervaded Kampala and was, among others, targeting high-profile individuals. You know, the public assassinations that happened in Kampala here in the outskirts involving high-profile individuals and personalities. The assailants were often usually on runaway motorcycles. And so this conversation emerged. I remember around that time the president addressed the parliament on the security aspect, and they highlighted a number of measures. One of them was the CCTV cameras that were installed in Kampala, and one of the other things that he hinted would be pursued was this issue of digitized number plates to sync with the CCTV, so to strengthen and make sure that the monitoring and tracking of these motorcycles and vehicles was watertight. So that's how the conversation on digital number plates came about. And then the president asked the Ministry of Security to look into this issue and see how to
particularly security.
Yes, the Ministry of Security to look into this issue, and I think then we started working with the Ministry of Presidency to come up with this idea. Along the way, it has sucked in many other agencies, and this goes to the point that my colleague here was talking about the coordination. Because at one point there were over 22 agencies. I think where the Ministry of Internal Affairs comes in is that part of the issues that are going to be, there's a question of data, which involves NIRA, the National Identification and Registration Authority, which falls under the Ministry of Internal Affairs. But another key agency or ministry there is the Ministry of Works, which nobody is talking about, perhaps because the principal, the Minister of Works, has not spoken in the press. Because at least from
they are the ones responsible for releasing number plates.
Yes, the Ministry of. So right now, I think the lead ministries are Security and Works, and Ministry of Works and Security, but also because there is a data component.
So you're saying Works cannot speak because.
But Katumba Amara is the most senior of both of them. Anyway, Oscar, let's get back to the subject of the conversation. So, in fact, by the way, the Independent did an elaborate story on this issue, and the issues that, for example, now he was raising the issue of piloting. This project is to first, as per the agreement that the Ministry of Security signed with the Russian company. This project is supposed to be first piloted in the Kampala metropolitan area before it is rolled out, across the country. And their payment or government will only pay money as per how the project works within the Kampala metropolitan. So the government has not committed any money as of now to the project. So whatever debate is happening is about the sharpness and coordination of this. Even the taxpayer has not lost any money as of now, because their payment or even these fines and the other monies that are going to be charged on third-party insurance and renewal of permits, from which now this company will be paid, will be dependent on how the project works in the Kampala metropolitan area. So the idea of piloting is being considered. It is not yet doubted there. The other aspect of security and data, one of the issues that the president guided on, and part of the due diligence that was conducted in Russia, was actually that, to make sure, that the president is very sensitive on the matter of allow of security and the data, especially when it comes to other countries, or having the data of Ugandans compromised, especially by other countries. So that is one of the issues that we investigated when they went into Russia. For me, my concern, Oscar, is that even as the Ssemuju has highlighted, even as the project as important as this, my concern was, why aren't we able to attract a company that's already done this? For example, now we highlighted California and New Delhi and other places where this system has worked. Poland, where this exercise has been experimented with and it's worked, rather than pioneering with a new company in a country with no history, and in a country where you have a limited resource envelope compared to those other countries where it's been worked. Also, if you have limited resources, you want to be sure that your money is going to the right entity. The Baganda say is a popular phrase here, and take a center wall. So you need to.
That's not a Uganda saying.
It is what? Okay, it is. I think you English. It is
Urban Dictionary.
Okay, it is
Urban Uganda Dictionary.
Okay, it is from the Urban Uganda Dictionary. So that the essence of that is that when you have limited resources, you want to make sure that you limit your risk as much as possible. So going with a company that has implemented and executed this project would better serve the interests of the country. But as things, and I think that of course you can fault the generals, Tafida and Jim, for going into the press and bickering over this, because this was a matter debated in the cabinet, you know, there surely are cabinet minutes or resolutions regarding that matter. Both of them sit in cabinet. So for them
they can even discuss
it was discussed. Yes, it was both are general. So really, I think that the public has legitimate concerns about two cabinet ministers, two generals, you know, exchanging historicals of the party and the army, exchanging these in the press. Because how do you now restore confidence in the public? By the way, Oscar, this debate would not be progressing as it is now if these two had not spoken in the way they have. Because now you throw doubt. You are the people supposed to be restoring trust and confidence in the project, and now you're speaking at cross purposes, and further reinforcing doubts into a public project.
One accountable. Between you and Nafi, so you were going to add on something.
Yeah, I was going to say that what the public now needs is a clear, streamlined process of how this exercise is going to work. Yes. The Commissioner General of URA raised the concern on the figure. I would have appreciated if any of these people who came to speak the press would say this is the breakdown of the 750,000, because the public really understands the importance of this project. Even as you see, Nancy and Ssemuju have not contested about the need and necessity of this project. All they are asking is, can we be more organized? Can we be more coordinated? Can we be more transparent? Can we be more transparent?
Let me give you
Oscar,
because I have a post here.
From what I'm just adding what he's saying.
Just hold on, man. For you now, Ivan, this is Kenya, Uganda. I was required to change my number plates here in Kenya last week to the digital version, which I find a bit amid growing reminders. In Kenya, there's a cut-off date, and I see more vehicles here with digital plates. They are made locally by committee prison inmates, and also GSU. They imported the necessary machinery, I believe, from Germany. Then, from a Wikipedia post, the new digital number plates are enhanced with security features that will help to curb fraud cases such as motor vehicle theft, logbook scams, terrorism. These features include a QR code, NTSA serial number, linked with a vehicle chassis number, a hologram, a microchip, and a Kenyan flag. The fees: motor vehicles will pay 3,000 Kenya shillings.
Yes.
Sorry, that's motor vehicle. Motorcycles will pay 1,500 Kenya shillings. So that's one is paying 90,000 and the other is paying half of that.
Yes, and in India, I wanted to add, in California, $25. In Poland, $45. In India, $6. That is 500 rupees, which is economic.
But yeah, we want
So I'm asking, why are we having a price at $200 in a very impoverished country? This they have to explain to us. Everything else takes a back seat. The general should stop bickering. They're too old for that. Let Parliament sit. We'll get a breakdown of this.
We are talking.
Agnes, so you're not out of it yet.
No, we are talking.
You're not out of it yet.
Let's talk about
you know the reason. One of the reasons URA has been uploaded for most of its success was the ending of this magendo and the smuggling and all of that. So if you increase the cost, you triple the cost of this registration, you are giving an incentive to evaders and scrupulous individuals to now start finding ways. So this is the concern of this was the concern of Mr. Msing, that we want to incentivize people to comply with the tax regime. If you're putting the cost of a number plate beyond the reach of the average motorist, you're inviting the
150,000, we are higher than most countries.
Let me first ask you, you've been on the peripheral dodging question. But let me put it.
Just be.
But if the point is raised that even with the 700,000, Uganda will get only a little bit of money on it, what's your opinion on that?
Oscar, now that is what we should have been talking about on issues of.
No, that's what I've asked you.
Yes, so
In the proposal, how much is Uganda getting and how much is the other company getting?
Needs to be critically analyzed. And I agree with the URA. I cannot pronounce that name, but I know I cannot go there. But I know.
You could say John.
No, now John is okay. Now, if the URA. God, you were born in Chira. Some of us were born where we were.
You had these names
Exactly. So anyway, I think the URA is the guy in charge of revenue collection. Now, if he stands out and says this is not right, we really need to applaud that. Now, he needed to have come, this is not right, let him guide the country and say, based on research, and I needed actually to respond to my colleagues that there's no research. All these ministries have consultants, they have highly trained people. Now let URA come out and with the research, which she has just shared with us and said, come on, maybe those are developed countries. Let him also do for developing countries like Uganda and tell the country, I think this is what is manageable by all categories of our population. Other than hiking the price so high, which is not affordable, then they will fail to raise the revenue that they need. In fact, research has shown that for you to raise more revenue, you've got to put incentives. And one of the incentives is actually to lower the cost. That is affordable by everyone, that people will appreciate. The border man will appreciate if I pay $10 or even $5. It would help me in ABCD way. So the issue of cost, it's really an issue that we need to engage as a country, and the URA and the ministries in charge should come out and tell the country, why are we paying that cost? What are others paying? And what are we going to pay? And I hope they will actually reduce.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just finally from you, before we stop for a break, what was the detail? How much was Uganda going to get and how much was the other company going to get?
I have the figure.
You have a figure.
For the start, Uganda, the company is supposed to be taking 70% of the collections, while Uganda takes 30% of the collections. This, after 4 years or after 6, then the percentages will decrease. The company will take 60, Uganda will take 40. Then by the end of the 12-year period, it will have reversed. It will hand over. So it's a declining percentage. For the start, the company is taking most of the revenue as it recoups its initial investment. Over the years, Uganda government will take over as the cost.
Okay, maybe you could look out also for how Kenya is far, because for them they bought the machine and inmates are doing it.
And then we have to prioritize. Do we want to make money from this, or do we want to enhance security?
To appreciate her point,
Yeah, go on and then
on the issue of local content and boo-boo and implementation of laws. As Parliament, there are laws which governs all these procurements that you first look from within. It's not all these laws are there. In fact, we need accountability structures and what to look into this thing. Why Russia? And who was doing it before? If it was Tampeko, why wouldn't government then, if they cannot afford or use UDC to fund them, and UDC or UDB, give them available resources, build their capacities, and let them do it.
You MPs, Ssemuju.
You MPs, where were you when this decision was being made? It's such a bad decision on all
It is about implementation of very good policies that we have.
Thank you. Hold on, you're going to speak class. Now, one sentence, because I want to go for a break. Your sentence has gone. Ssemuju, conclude.
See,
what I was saying.
In theory, Uganda being a poor country, in theory, Museveni set out to create an Ethiopia-like way of doing business. But I think because of his overwhelming appetite for power, he became disabled. You see, Ethiopia, when they wanted to construct...
Sometimes I have to give him last word on the
standard gauge
topic,
railway,
but it becomes a problem.
they asked Chinese to go and train the military. All that they brought from China was money and supervision. But they have built the railway to Djibouti by themselves.
Even Rwanda.
But Rwanda, the other day, when they wanted Rwanda, when they wanted to do
But our UPDF brigade
an industrial park,
starting slowly.
the government made
Yes.
the cost of all the factories to move from where they were to the industrial park. We have just paid for passports. I got passports for my children, and a month later, I am being asked to pay 400,000 that now East African something digital. So we're a country that is
Because
in
someone
auto
is eating.
piloting. It is just moving by itself. The president is organizing birthdays and wedding anniversaries.
President out of
That's why this thing. That's why this thing.
Can you realize why it is a rule?
That's why this thing.
Why we will have to revisit the
That's
subject?
why this thing is.
Now we have to revisit the Let's stop for a break.
Got nothing to do with the president, Honorable Ssemuju, for sure.
No. The
This
government
is
has to be
our
cancelled.
system.
Yeah, I mean,
Because
where is
I
the
keep telling you.
Ebigambo mubiwulidde. Eggwanga Uganda awo wetutuuse wetuli nga bannayuganda n'ensi yaffe. Ensimbi zitwalibwa mu bintu ebitagasa ggwanga, ebintu ebitagenda kuzimba ggwanga laffe Uganda, ebintu ebitalina kye bigenda kugatta ku ggwanga, wabula abantu abamu bo okwesanyusa obwesanyusa nga bibasanyusa busanyusa naye nga tebafaayo kulowooleza ggwanga Uganda. Kati ebiriwo ku bya ennamba eziri digitaali, owulira bwe bali mu kweyombesa bo bennyini ate nga bandisuubidde nti bandibadde beewagira nti kyava mu system, kyava mu kabineti yaabwe bakiteesako ne Mwai Museveni. Nekikulaga nti buli omu akola ddiiru ye, buli omu aleta ddiiru ye gy'agenda okulyako akasente. Mwai Museveni yabaleka nti you go ahead, bw'ofuna kiddiiru kyete kikubbe bwe papa kasita olyamu akasente otambule ogende. Naye nga tebafuddeeyo nti munnayuganda agenda kuba atya, munnayuganda ye agenda kufuniramu wa. Uganda ng'ensi egenda kufuniramu wa. Kino kigenda tuyamba tutya, kigenda kututambuza paka wa, kigatta ki ku ggwanga laffe Uganda. Bo balowooza ku kimu nti tusobole okulaba abaagala okutujja mu ntebe, tusobole okulaba abaagala okutuwamba, bo obwongo bwe bwakomaawo. Tebuli nti kigenda kuyamba kitya munnayuganda mwanayingi, kuba abantu bangi battiddwa nga tewali na kifiibwayo. Abo bituuka ku by'okuba nti nno bagenda kutuusa obulabe oba bagenda kujja ku Mwai Museveni, bagenda kuba walwanyenya gavumenti olwo balyoka bajjayo ne kiprogram nakyo nga kyakulira mu nsimbi. Nogamba eggwanga laffe wano tulivaawo ddi ne tukulaakulanako ne tulina ate gye tugenda mu maaso nga kinaayamba nze, kinaayamba ggwe, kinaayamba omugigi omuto ogujja n'abalibaawo n'abalibaawo. N'ebintu ebyokukola bbugubugu oba twala tufunamu akasente eggwanga laffe lyetusuula tulina okweddamu ne twefumiitiriza nnyo. Kati olwo kyova olaba nti bannayuganda bannankyukakyuka bo bagamba nti tufune omukulembeze omulala era nga ye Kyagulanyi Ssentamu Robert Bobi Wine yajja okutereeza bino. Kuba kati ali soba, atambudde n'alaba era oba tewali nsonga lwaki weesiba ku muntu omu. Sooka oleete bangi in a field omuteese olaba ani asinga, ani ali favorable, ani ali original. Kuba mulimu abali fake, mujja kuleeta ebintu nga biri fake nga bigenda kutuuza buzza mabega. Naate bw'onooleeta competition ojja kufuna ali original, mutambule n'oyo nga kigenda kubeerawo forever balubeerera nga kijja kuyamba eggwanga. Mujja kuleeta ebintu abaana babicupule wano nga temukyalina kyakikolera, olowooze mbu twakola nnyo naye nga tebina gye bitwala ggwanga nga byakomaawo nga kubadde kumala nsimbi za muwi wa musolo, ebintu ebyandiyambye okukulaakulanya eggwanga ne tuddawo mu kkaba ate ensimbi baazibba. Kwati twali ensonga lwaki Jim Muhwezi alwanagana ne Kahindo Tafiire ate ng'omanyi nti ekintu kyabwe be bali mu kintu, be bali mu gavumenti naye ate bali mu kulwana bo bennyini beerwanyisa ne bikusobera. Naye nga Uganda yaffe bwetyo bweri, tufube kulwana nnyo okulaba nti tutereeza ensi yaffe, tufune obukulembeze obujja nga amaanyi oba obuyinza buli mu ffe bannansi, ng'obuyinza buli mu bannayuganda. Tulina nga tulina obuyinza nga ffe tusalawo nti twagala kino tekijja okuba nga kikolebwa, kijja okuba nga kiteekebwa mu nkola. So si abantu abamu omu yavaayo n'ekipulogulaamu kye kubanga yakifunamu ate yazirwanako ne Mwai Museveni, ekyo nekitambula bwe kityo naye nga ensi terina weekiganyulwamu. So tufube nnyo okulaba nga tukola ebintu nga bigatta ku nsi, nga bigatta ku Uganda, bigatta ku nze, bigatta ku ggwe, bigatta ku baana baffe n'abaliddawo ne tujja okweyagalako mu nsi eno. Kale neebaza nnyo mwenna ababaddeko, mwebale kubaako, mwebale kugoberera. Omukama Katonda yeebale kubanga abasobozesezza ate namwe ne mufuna akadde ne musobola okubawo ne mulaba biki ebigenda mu maaso mu nsi yaffe. Tujja kuba tuddamu tuwaye banywanyi bange, mweraba.